graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Butters, I really need to talk to somebody, and I think maybe you're the only person who won't make fun of me.
Oh gosh, I'd never make fun of somebody with a problem.
Butters, do you know what you're supposed to do when your penis gets hard?
Well, sure I do.
Really?
Yes, now sit down, Jimmy. We should have a little talk. You see, Jimmy, when a man's penis becomes hard, the man puts it into a lady, into her vagina. Then, the hard penis sneezes milk inside the lady's tummy, and after it's all done sneezing milk, the penis stops being hard, and the man loses interest in the lady.
So, when your penis becomes hard, you're supposed to put it in a lady's vagina, and then it stops being hard?
That's right, Jimmy.
But where am I going to find a lady to stick my penis in? The talent show is this Friday.
Your podcast will fail.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show, and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And we are not going to storm Area 51. I have no fucking plans of doing that. I think it's incredibly stupid. I am not going to go where government agents are going to have guns and weapons and tanks. And then these dummies decide to fucking, declare it on social media. And I guess it's, if you're going to recruit that many people to go storm Area 51, I guess if you're going to recruit a lot of people, you have to have some sort of social media presence. But yeah. I think this is going to be, nothing good is going to happen. Let's just say there really was, let's just say there was a secret government base, and people announced that they're going to fucking raid it. Like, they just start moving the shit out of there.
No, they wouldn't move the shit out of there. They just put a bunch of tanks and army people there, that's all.
I'm pretty sure there's like underground tunnels and stuff like that, and shipping carts and like in the movies, like big trains underground, and they'll move all the alien bodies and move all the stolen technology, and Jimmy Hoffa's body and Elvis Presley and the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and all those things. So the people, you're gonna raid it. And first and foremost, if you're saying you're gonna raid it, then you're gonna get fucking shot. That's just that's just first and foremost. But then if you even if somehow you magically got through, you overtook, they can't kill all of us, you're gonna come to a fucking empty warehouse or whatever,
Well, it'll be like the empty warehouse, and underneath it is where everything is.
Yeah, I'm waiting, and these fucking idiots are doing I understand these are people just having fun with it. They're people doing the Naruto Run, right? Mm-hmm. That's the Naruto Run where you run and you put your Naruto, where you put your arms behind you, you kind of bend over a little bit and you run, and it's supposed to make you run faster and invulnerable to fucking shots or something like that. And I'm just I've had the pleasure of interviewing the fucking voice of Naruto or whatever, yet I've never seen the cartoon.
The whole idea is incredibly stupid, but I mean, is it going to be entertaining? Fuck yes. Yes, it is.
Someone, and I'm waiting for a Leroy Jenkins. I want someone to just, storm in there and get shot the fuck up, because it's nothing good is going to happen.
But all the memes are so hilarious, and the GIFs and everything are just hilarious. How about that guy that dresses up like an alien in that green suit, and just pulling, doing shit like he's in the gym, he's running around like a town. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, so. He's like he escaped and stuff like that. He's hiding and he's jumping. I don't know. It's one of those things where we laugh about it now. Hopefully it'll I honestly don't want people to get hurt, but it is going to be funny. And if people actually take this shit seriously, somebody's going to fucking get hurt. All right, so it's stuff like that. I like to put that in the podcast because it's very much a snapshot of where the fuck we are right now in our world. The fucking world is falling apart, but people are talking about, when they should be rating, the concentration camps where where people are held in horrendous conditions, where people are, in a cage that's like 10 feet by 10 feet, and there's 30 people in the cage. Horrible things like that.
Let's not talk about Trump today.
Yeah.
Come on, please.
I mean, I do have a couple of Trump things, and ladies and gentlemen, we have a fucking. Obviously, we're going to talk all about San Diego Comic-Con and all the nerdy news ever since then. Our last episode was recorded on July the 4th, and we're recording this on the 25th. Life fucking happens, unfortunately. Good shit and bad shit constantly fucking happens. So we weren't able to record as frequently as we wanted to.
It's all Chris's fault. I blame him.
Yeah, my life has been a fucking roller coaster, as it always. My life is never boring. I can honestly say that. When there's people I don't understand people when they go on Facebook and I'm bored. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Because there's always shit to be done. And mind you, I got thousands of things that I need to get to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a bachelor, and my house is a fucking wreck, and I have to take care of that. And then I got to go to work, and then, I got projects that I'm writing, then doing the podcast. I'm helping out other people with their projects, and that's something I won't get into right now, but, hopefully I'll be I'll be making an announcement soon about someone's project or whatever. And I got so much. There aren't enough fucking hours in the day.
You better tell me after this podcast, you fucker.
Yeah. Oh no, it's just it's a small independent project, and I'm helping out, and it's in the vein of maybe getting something started when it comes to making an independent movie. So maybe I feel bad talking about it right now because I don't want to jinx it. But I'm just saying I have a million things going on. Not to mention that I want to spend time with my daughter. Not to mention that, I do like to socialize. I do like to go to open mic nights and go to karaoke nights. And because I've been doing comedy. Did comedy last night, as a matter of fact. We're recording this on a Thursday. My local bar has open mic comedy. I've been doing that. And it's weird because there's this whole community of comedians and stuff like that. They're slowly accepting me as one of their own. And so the funny thing is, even last night, last episode or the episode before that, I played the set that I did on my birthday. And, last night, I maybe only used 2 jokes from that set. So, I'm trying to, add new material every time I go up on stage. Because, and don't get me wrong, the comedians that I work with, a lot of them, and I see, you see them, sometimes they'll add a new joke or they'll change a joke, but unfortunately there are a couple of people, they tell the same fucking jokes every time they get up on stage, and that gets a little annoying. Not annoying, but, maybe they're trying to perfect, that 5 minutes or whatever, but, I don't want to be one of those people. I added, like I said, I did 5 minutes last night, and I maybe used 2 of the same jokes that I used on my birthday. So I got so much shit, and that's don't get me wrong, it'd be great if I had other things going on in my life, but I'm very busy. And speaking of things that I want going on in my life, also last night, before I went out to the open mic, I went on a date, and I know it's been
about time.
Well, actually, since the last podcast, I feel like it always feels like confession. It's been 7 years since my last confession. Since the last podcast, I've actually went on 2 separate dates from girls that I met on the dating site. Now, the first one, both of these wonderful women. I'm not going to speak bad of them. I have no reason to speak bad of them. One I met, I think I was scheduled to see her the Friday after.
I was scheduled.
Well, I'm saying, you set up a date, and then what happened was that we recorded on a Thursday.
I just see you with the calendar book being I think I can fit you in at 3:00 on Tuesday. What do you think?
Hey, look, I got a job and a kid and other things going on in my life. I do have to schedule, and but I'm saying, you set up a date with someone. If you talk to someone on the dating site and things are going good and you seem to have a rapport and you go back and forth, and then you say, hey, would you like to go out Friday? So, I don't mean it to sound all business-like, but we were planning to go out that Friday. Then, half an hour before the fucking date, oh, my daughter hurt her arm and we have to go to urgent care and all this shit. And that's the one thing that I've noticed that a lot of fucking these people that I've met online and talking is sort of like, a lot of people will chicken out at the last minute. Like, and you know, and I understand it's uncomfortable to meet a stranger that you met online. You know, there's fucking horror stories out there. You know, I've always set it up where, like, you know, let's go and we're meeting in a public place. You know what I'm saying? We're going to meet at a, you know, restaurant. We'll have some dinner or whatever. And so I felt like I was getting the brush off. I was like, oh, fuck. Here we go again with this. You know, there's a lot of fucking flakes here in Rochester. And, so I guess that happened. And then, like, the next day I kind of hit her up on the, you know, the OkCupid or whatever. And I was like, well, you know, we could reschedule. And sometimes, you know, like, sometimes, you know, when they call out the last minute, I think maybe they change their mind. They don't want to meet anybody or whatever the case may be. But then she actually said, no, let's meet on Sunday, you know, to make up for Friday. So, you know, went out a date. It was a good date. You know, it was fine. You know, had a nice conversation. And then, like, after the date, like, before the date, we were talking, you know, you message back and forth. Because, you know, first you start messaging on the app. And then I guess as you get comfortable enough with someone, you actually give them your phone number. Then you start going back and forth with text messages. She was not a big fan of, like, talking on the phone. I'm like, it's so weird. Everybody, like, both these girls, like, they text, and it's like, you know, don't you want to talk on the phone? Like,
no.
Maybe I'm an old guy that I remember, like, you would talk, like, when you're still in the early parts of relationship, and not that these are relationships, but in the early parts of meeting someone and getting to know them, you'd get on the phone and you talk to them till the fucking sun comes up. I mean, technology has taken that away from us. Like, you know, people don't want to talk; they want to text. So,
well, it's easier because then you're not, you know, you can kind of be more honest and whatever. You don't have to really, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you don't have to be so immediate,
right?
Because when you're talking on the phone, you have to keep the flow going like a podcast. And
like this one right here.
Yeah, you could take your time when you're texting. So after the date, like, we were like, then the text, like, slowed the fuck down. Where, like, it came to, like, a text a day, and I'm like, you know, dude, if I gotta fucking pull a conversation out of you, you know, not dude, but you know what I mean? Like, I you know, I do a podcast. I
States dudes now.
I may have to, man, but I'm just saying you know, I like to talk. Obviously, and I hate trying to talk to someone that doesn't want to talk to me back. And I understand life happens and shit happens or whatever, but, you know, when it slows down to a crawl of, like, one text a day, you know, then I'm like, all right, you know, either maybe she was being nice on the first, and I asked her, I said, do you want to go on another date? She said, yeah. And then, like, I had mentioned something, but we didn't schedule a date. But I was saying, you know, then, like, I'm like, maybe she was just being nice. You know, maybe she met somebody else. You know, there's a million reasons she could have just, you know, maybe she wasn't that into me and she just, you know, in this day and age, a woman can't tell a guy I'm not into you because the guy will turn into a fucking, you know, stalker, serial killer. So I said, all right, you know what? I could take a hint. You know, I'll leave her alone. So I started talking to this other girl, and we were talking about this before the podcast. You know, and I'm just gonna say it, and I hopefully, if I meet another girl on a dating site later on, and she listens back to old episodes, this was probably the nicest, normalist person that I've met on this site. Because, you know, you meet people, and obviously, look, I'm no Romeo, I'm no fucking prize or anything like that. But, you know, I mean, everybody's flawed, but I was talking to this chick and she was, you know, and for someone to take my sense of humor, because sometimes, like, you know, when I talk to some of these other girls, you know, I'll make a joke and, like, they take it the wrong way or they'll respond the wrong way. You know, I was being funny, I was being charming, you know, we seemed to have a really good rapport. She seemed to have her shit together, which is nice. And, so once again, you know, we went out last night, you know, had a couple beers, had a couple tacos, had a good time. And then when the date was over, and, like, I kind of felt when the date sort of, I don't want to say it was a good date. It was a good date. I could kind of feel when the switch clicked over. And then, after the date, you know, you kind of start texting back and forth or whatever. And then she texted me and was like, you know, like, oh, you're a good guy, but I don't see us dating. I don't see it in the cards. And I was like, oh, fuck. And, you know, and have I been mopey all day today? Yeah, I've been mopey because it's fucking nobody likes rejection. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
No.
you know, maybe, you know, obviously, look, you know, you build someone up in your head and, you know, nobody is who they are in your head. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's for sure.
You know,
yeah.
and so obviously, you know, I just had her and I turned into an item. Like I said, out of all the girls that I've met and dated on the site, this was the most normal, nice, funny, cool, fucking. And once again, maybe I'll meet someone in the future, and if she's nosy enough to listen to my old podcast, and and Chris, you son of, what the fuck are you talking about? Look, well, this is before I met you, because I'm not talking to anybody right now. So, sweetheart, if you're listening to this podcast in the future, this was before I met you. So, you know, I'm still single right now. Before we're dating, before we have our 20 kids. Girl X. Chris
doesn't mean
this is before we met.
So
I'm not cheating on you. Don't worry. You don't have any other competition. But that being said, you know, and once again, it's rejection. At least like the first girl, I mean, it was like a slow rejection. Like, I guess, the text messages slowed down. So, all right, I get it. Then this one, and once again, it's not like she didn't reject me like, oh, you're an asshole, you're a scumbag. She said, you're a nice guy, yada, 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 you know, but I guess I don't like nice guys. No.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good segue into, let's see, it's July 25th as we're recording this.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit over a year since I've not been with my ex, and
which is something we haven't really spoken about on the podcast. But I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure people who and I understand it's a sensitive topic, but like people who listen sort of like got the gist. But go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to talk about it, honestly. But let me kind of talk about what this whole year has been for me. Pretty much. And I kind of indicated this over this past year, like what I've gone through, like my transformation myself. I mean, I'll be honest, like a lot of it I started because I wanted to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. And come to find out there was some things wrong, and they were all medical, thank God. And it was very easy to take care of. So I guess I haven't really talked about that, and let me I'll get into very in depth. I'll kind of a little bit get into that other part, but so before me and her broke up, I had scheduled you still there, Chris?
Yeah, I'm here. Did you not hear me?
It kind of went away for a minute.
Okay.
No, I hear you. You're good. Okay, sorry. So before
sleep apnea? I know that was the big thing.
Oh, well, okay, so that's where it started.
Okay.
Basically what happened was I had to go for physical, because what they do is they give you a referral to go get the sleep test. Mm-hmm. So went to the doctor. First of all, found out it was, and I don't like to admit how much I weighed at that point, but 290 pounds. Mm-hmm. I looked at that number and went, no, that's not going to happen. I'm like, no. Paul does not like that number. So I went and I got a blood test too, and the blood test came back that I was at 6.1, which is slightly in the yellow, heading towards diabetes. Mm-hmm. So it was in like the caution part of the measurement. I'm like, fuck, okay. This isn't going to help me either. So immediately I got a gym membership, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, it was, with having two jobs, it's very hard to exercise more than like 3 times a week when you have that. Mm-hmm. So the weight wasn't really coming off as fast as I wanted it to. But, you know, I went and got the sleep study done, got that referral. All of a sudden, I've got sleep well, it's not all of a sudden. I mean, my ex kind of indicated that, and, you know, thanks to her, that's how all this started anyways. Mm-hmm. But basically, I had severe sleep apnea. I don't have that anymore because I have a CPAP machine after lots of money. But it's worth it. It definitely is worth it, dude. Like, as a result of having that machine, it gives me more sleep. I've gotten more energy. My weight loss, and I can say this, and I'm hopefully, you know, it stays where it's at, but I'm about 40 pounds down from where I was in August. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge thing for me. I only am working one job because through this, my main job not only gave me a different title, but it gave me a raise, a substantial raise. So I was able to not only, you know, get rid of my other job, which I did. I didn't do it that quickly. I waited till I think April, like the last week in March. But basically, dude, like I've paid off a lot of my debt since then. Like I only have, and a lot of the bills, dude, like let's just take my student loans out of out of this conversation. Like those are like that's like that grandmother that keeps asking you, are you going to get married? it's just lingering over you, continues to linger, and you're just like, whatever, I know it's there, fuck it. But I've gotten pretty much all of my debt pretty much paid off. A lot of my newer debt is because of all the sleep stuff and everything, because my insurance wasn't paying a lot of that, which was another conversation, but we're not going to have that today. Trust me, we could spend a whole podcast on the insurance that I have, but we're not going to do that today. I've gotten, like, that part has been really great. You know, I talked about this a couple podcasts ago that, you know, I went to Adult Swim finally. That was really good. It's just been a really good time. And, you know, another thing that I don't like to admit, and I will admit now, is that since that point, I've been here in my parents' house. You know what I mean? And the problem was I had so much money that I had to pay off that I couldn't go get an apartment. Like, if I went and got an apartment, Chris, I probably would be bankrupt right now.
Probably living in the hood like me.
Well, you said it, I didn't. Oh, look, they're coming to get you.
The Sons of Anarchy are driving by my house right about now. Go on, I'm sorry.
Yes. So, you know, I've hit it. Like, everything except the relationship part was great this whole last year. It was wonderful. Like, oh, and obviously I talked about this too. I had, what was it, about a month or two ago, I had the last part of this whole stupid journey of health and checking everything. And God, you know what, Chris, you know what, the one thing I hate about our healthcare system, it takes like so fucking long to get an appointment to get into like a doctor or a fucking eye exam or whatever. You're just like, what do you mean 6 months from now? so I go in.
My eyes now.
Well, so my eyes, I didn't feel like my eyes were that bad. Like, I've noticed, like, when I get really tired or I'm like exhausted, like, some things are a little bit blurrier. It's not like a straight on picture. Not like if I'm watching the TV, but like if I'm looking at the computer right now. So the woman goes, good news is you don't have any diabetes. I'm like, well, I mean, by the way, I forgot to mention this. I took another blood test a couple months back. My diabetes is 4.5, I believe, or 5.4. And it's right in the green, like nothing.
Oh, okay.
So no diabetes.
Yeah, I'll be honest with 4.5. I don't know what the hell that means.
It's hard to explain. I'm not going to explain it. So, back to the glasses. She's like, but you have like a, what is it called? Stigma or whatever, in your eye. Stigmatism. Yeah. So, I obviously had to get glasses for that to adjust for that. And it's, you know, it's actually been, it's like going from an okay picture to an HD picture is that's how I've explained it to people, because like, it's like, oh, this looks good. Oh my God, that looks really good. You know what I mean? Like, so that's been nice too. So, you know, I've gone through this whole past year and I'm happy where I'm at. And I can also say right now that probably in October, November, maybe December, depending on where my money's at, I probably will actually have my own place. Finally. And by the way, I didn't start getting paid really well for my new job until March. So to tell you that from March, and I paid off a bunch of bills between March and now, like, that's when I started getting a majority of them paid off. Like, to do that in a matter of months and be able to start saving towards an apartment, that's really fucking good. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that means that's definitely good. I feel really happy about where I'm at. Now, I'm not going to go too far, and I'm sure Chris will stop me if I do. But I don't really feel like I don't feel any ill will towards her. I don't feel any like resentment or anything like that. What I feel like, see, the thing like Chris was talking about before I started talking, obviously, about relationships. Geez, they just really want to come and kill you, don't they, Chris? But seriously, so, you know, it's very with relationships. It's, you know, if somebody's not happy in a relationship, and by the way, when we say somebody's not happy, that doesn't necessarily mean it's you. Let me make that point.
If they're not happy with themselves.
Yeah, if they're not happy with themselves, they're not really, you know, they're not going to really want to be in a relationship because they're going to think that they're not happy in a relationship. Where, you know, and I think that's what happened because, see, that's the other thing I did was I reflected back on my stuff. And, you know, Chris, you can back me up on this. I treated my ex like a queen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I pretty much paid for a lot of stuff. You know this. I mean, you can back me up on this. I paid for a lot of stuff. I took care of her and her daughter. You know, I didn't do anything, you know, I'm not a perfect guy. No guy's perfect. Okay. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we had arguments, but let me tell you something. If I can count every argument on one hand in 5 years,
well,
you know what I mean?
Like, okay, so let me just throw my 2 cents in here. I think she felt, and it's one of those deals where like, and it's one of those things where she also have to fucking she had to fucking understand that you work 2 fucking jobs, and you know, I think she felt like, you know, you'd come home and yeah, you kind of want to just chill and stuff like that, but yeah. You know, but also understand that there are women out there who will kill that their man works 2 jobs and comes home and they don't have to worry about where he is. They don't have to worry about what is he doing and stuff like that. Right. You know, you came home and, you know, yeah, you're exhausted or whatever the case may be. Well, but like, once again, she did not have to worry about you fooling around. She didn't have to worry about you throwing money. You know, you weren't a gambler. You weren't a drug user. You didn't fucking hang out at the bars. You certainly didn't fucking cheat on her or have any fucking side pieces or anything like that. And I know it's one of those deals, like, you know, there are women out there who are lonely as fuck and wish that they had a guy, even if it's to have a guy who comes home and lays in the bed that they could lay down next to another fucking body because, you know, and it's not because you're tired because you're doing dumb shit all day, you're hanging out with the fellas, you're tired because you just came from working 2 fucking jobs. So, yeah. I mean, like I said, I can see how she was a little like, you know, and all women are like that, you know, they feel like they're being, and it's not like you were ignoring her to ignore her. And it's not that you were ignoring her. It's just you came home and you were fucking exhausted from working 2 fucking jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think, I mean, okay, so I'm not going to disagree with what you said.
It's not all, you know, real relationships are not about love and romance and lovey-dovey, touchy-feely shit. Real romance, and especially in this fucking economy, and especially in this fucking day and age, are about 2 fucking people handling their fucking business. And you were handling your fucking business.
Chris, you know, I feel like you wanted to get this off your chest for a while.
What I'm just saying is this, you know, like I said, there are women out there, like I said, look, I'm a single guy or whatever. If I dated a girl and she had 2 fucking jobs, I wouldn't stress her out the minute she got home. Mm-mm. You know what I'm saying? I would love to have a woman with 2 jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, even like part of the reason that girl that I had to date with last night, she had a decent job and, you know, and of course she has her kid and she has things that are, you know, and it's sort of like, you just understand that that's part of someone's life, you know, right. and
jeez, they just don't like you.
They're having a fucking biker rally outside my house. Jesus. But, you know, and maybe it's because I've been on the other side. I've been the person who worked a 56-hour week. You know, I'd work a 40-hour week and try to get overtime. And, you know, so with that being said, you know, I'd work, you know, after working a 16-hour shift to come home and get 3.5 hours of sleep to go right back out and do another 8 hours at work. You know, I've been on that side where I wouldn't stress somebody out about, oh, you only come home to go lay down and go to sleep and close, you know, take a shower and leave. Because they're just holding the fucking, are the fucking bills paid? Is there a roof over your head? Is there food in the fucking fridge? Well, hey, that's the fucking trade-off. Or you could be a fucking bum. You know what I'm saying?
So, okay. So I don't necessarily, so I don't necessarily disagree with you. Uh-huh. I do think that was probably part of it. But see, the problem is I wasn't getting the proper sleep. And it wasn't because of her. It ended up being because of the medical issues that I had. Mm-hmm. You know, that's not an excuse. It's right there, and I have medical records. It tells me. You know what I mean? Like, but see, that's what I was trying to say. Like, I originally started this as an effort to kind of get myself back into that relationship, if we're being honest. And what I did is I said, But then what had happened, Chris, was I started realizing that I had to do this for myself. Because if I don't do this for myself, and that's not being greedy or anything, it's the fact that if I didn't do this for myself, I was going to get diabetes. I was still not going to get enough sleep, even on one job, and I was just going to, you know, spiral out of control. Keep this in perspective, dude. My father has to shoot up insulin every single day. Mm. Okay. He's got type 2 diabetes. He's had his eyes fucked with, aka why I went for the goddamn eye exam. He's had shots in his eyes. They're replacing the cataract in one of his eyes. Oh God, what else?
Yeah, my dad. Not to cut you, like my dad had to have lasers shot in his eye to cauterize like blood vessels inside his eye.
I think he's had that too.
And unfortunately that's something that comes with diabetes, and it's like.
And my father has leukemia, but it's not like full blown because they caught it way before it even happened. So that's another thing I have to worry about. But I think working out in that's going to help me a lot. But so getting back to what I was saying, like, the one thing I did want to mention is that I felt like a couple people that listen to this podcast and have been on this podcast have been concerned about me. And I kind of just want to give a little clarification of why I was doing what I was doing. Because, like you were saying, this was the one girl that I wanted to be with kind of thing. Like the relationship I had with her was basically the relationship I was looking for. And let me explain that just a little bit. So, we get this idea in our heads, like, this is the type of relationship I want. I want that Dawson's Creek fucking relationship, okay? And then you go and you get, let's see, you find that relationship. Because here's the thing, I treated her like a queen. And I'll be honest, she treated me like a king. She did. You saw how clean that house was. And by the way, she didn't have to do that for me. I would have done that myself, but that was her choice. You know what I mean? And, when somebody sits there and says, or tries to make fun of me and she immediately just defends me, that's where you get a wake up call and you go, whoa, this is what a real relationship is. You know what I mean? And by the way, I'm not bullshitting here. She may even listen to this podcast. I'm not fucking bullshitting here, dude. I can sit here and tell you, I could spit any lie right now if I wanted to. I'm not. This isn't bullshit. This is me being straight up with you. This was a really good relationship. I just don't think that, and it wasn't what you said, Chris, was part of it, but I think that she just wasn't happy with herself. And, doing my reflection, I know that I had my own issues. Most of them were medical, and I'm so much of a happier person because of me doing that. Not because I'm not with her, because there's that part of me that was for a long time was really I'm missing something and I need this in my life. I'm just focusing right now on my life and making sure that I'm happy. So whatever that means, whatever comes into play in that, and I'm going to be honest with you guys that are listening, I'm not going to really talk about my personal life. So if I get somebody else in my life, I'm not going to talk about it. It's just been, for me now, I just need to be straight on and to the point. I need to just continue my success, continue what I'm doing, get the apartment that I want to get, and just continue. Now, does that mean that somewhere down the line, my ex might come back into my life? Maybe. And I wouldn't necessarily not entertain that. But like I said, I need somebody in my life that's happy with themselves, that is happy with how they look, what they do, who they are, all of the above, and, everything else is just bonus. Being a good mother, cleaning a house, everything. That's all just bonus. But if you're happy with yourself, fine. That's what I want, is somebody that's happy with themselves. If you're not happy with yourself, I don't know if I really want you in my life, because I don't want negativity anymore, Chris. That's why I'm saying, I don't have any ill will towards her. It sounded like you kind of had something morning, but I don't have any ill will about it. You know what I mean? I'm not pissed at her. I don't have any ill will towards her. I don't have any disagreements. Give me my stuff back. But that's about, that's all I really want at the moment. I guess my only disappointment with it is, now that I've made all these changes and I'm such a happier person, I haven't been allowed the chance to show that. You know what I mean? And being that I was in a relationship with this woman for 5 years, I should have at least afforded that. You know what I mean? I mean, there might be somebody else that swoops in and takes advantage of that. If it happens, it happens. But, at least I've gone through the changes and done what I needed to do, not just for myself, but in any relationship I get into. And that right there, I think, is the point.
Gotcha.
So, that's all I just wanted to say.
Yeah, you had a step backwards, but now, several steps forward, which is a good thing.
What'd you say?
I said you had a step backwards. You had one step backwards, but several steps forward.
Yeah, and I'm so much better for it. And I feel like, and I will say thank you to her because, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have started to take those steps, and I'll be honest, like, I went to court to get, I'm not going to go into that a little bit too much, but I went back to court to make sure I had a better visitation for my kid so I could see him more because of her. And it was because of her encouragement. I went to get all of this done originally because of her and because she was concerned about my health and also the fact that, I wasn't properly breathing during the night. So I have a lot to be thankful when it comes to her. I just hope that she can find the happiness that she's looking for because, she and her daughter will be so much better because of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't think I was mean. I'm not mean. I'm not a mean person. I'm a lovable Paul. Sorry. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So, I just hope she finds, the happiness she's looking for, basically.
Gotcha. But I guess, and this is going to sound corny coming from me. They say you got to love yourself before you love somebody else. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's something I got to fucking work on.
That's true.
I hate that fat fuck in the mirror. No, but
you need to listen to me, dude. Like, you need to work on that too, man. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to be very happy with yourself because I think you let disappointment get to you a little bit too much. And I'm going to tell you right now, and there's other people that have been on the podcast with you that are rooting for you too. We want to see you be successful. We want to see you get that woman that you want. We want to see you get that big house you want because you were there at one point. And because of that bitch that you married, she fucked it all up for you. Now it's time to bring it back full circle and get yourself back to where you were, man.
Yeah, look, in the past month, since the last podcast, I went on 2 dates. I'm with two good women. I mean, it's, obviously things didn't work out or whatever, but, I'm meeting, I'm not like, there aren't people, like, I'm not settling for anybody. I'm not, it's 2 good women. Unfortunately, they didn't have fucking an interest in me, but, at least, I think it was the best thing that I paid for, like, the premium, what OkCupid calls the A-list. I paid for the A-list, only because, because I get out there and it's like, if I go to the bar and I do open mic night or I do karaoke, I don't want to meet anybody in a bar. That's not my thing.
By the way, let me get this off my chest real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but can you ladies please stop with those Snapchat filters? Oh my God. Like, I want to see your actual face. I don't want to see whatever filter you use to make yourself look better. I want to see the real you. I want to see what kind of figure you have, and I want you to be honest with me. I get sick and tired when you go on these dating sites and it's like you see these fucking women
with the obvious filter.
I have the cat filter, or I have the filter that made my skin a lot better. Stop.
Yeah, there's the Hollywood filter, but I mean, it's annoying with the stupid like dog ears and dog nose, or cat ears and cat nose, or the
oh my God,
the wreath of flowers around their head. That's stupid and annoying. And I don't find it playful. I don't find it cute. But maybe because I'm a fucking miserable, jaded bastard, but if I look at that and when I see that, I swipe left. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think I've spoken to anyone yet that has had a Snapchat filter as their photos.
Chris, I'll be honest with you. Anybody that I've seen that has like just filters for all their pictures, I'm like, no, goodbye. Yeah. I'm like, no. Because that means you're hiding something, and I don't want you to hide something.
Maybe like in your 4th or 5th picture on your photo, on your profile. Because it was like the first one,
that's fine.
Your first picture is supposed to represent you. The best picture represent you. And then by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th, 5th picture, like, you could be playful, or you could be, you got these women that they put like memes, like, with words and shit like that as their profile picture. Like, start the day with beauty, or some stupid shit like that. It's like, why is that your fucking dating site picture? Why is that what obviously we want to see what you look like. I have body pictures. I have and I understand people, they don't feel comfortable with themselves, But, look, I'm not going to fucking lie either. Here's me. I'm a fat fuck. I'm bald. I dye my beard. Here we go. That's what I am, But, so it's not, this fucking, you got these pictures, and, you got this ones, it's all faces, It's like, all right, let's see the rest of your body. Come on, I mean, and it says full figured, but, like, let's see how full figured are you?
Exactly. It just bothers me every time that I see a girl, like, even if it's just on Facebook, stop with the goddamn filters. Like, just put your normal picture up. Everybody will be fine. Don't worry. Nobody's going to hurt you. By the way, your Facebook's personal. Why the fuck wouldn't you just do that?
Yeah.
Just making the point. You know what I mean?
So you got the dog ears and the dog nose. So that means you like it doggy style.
Oh, God. Only you would think about it in that way.
All right, so we'll go to break in just a moment. Let me just we have plenty of San Diego Comic-Con stuff to talk about. So we did the Area 51. Speaking of filters on apps, the big thing now, everyone is doing the Face app thing where people are like, what does it look like if you're older? What if it looks like if if you're a guy? And they're like, oh, it's a Russian app and they're going to steal your likeness. Bitch, if you're on fucking Facebook or Instagram, it's like your shit is public already. Mm-hmm. You got these girls, there's people with Instagram, who are like, they're wearing like a 2-piece bikini and shit like that, or they've taken 50,000 selfies in the mirror, and it's like, are you worried about hackers? You've posted literally hundreds of pictures of yourself. The Face app isn't going to change anything. Not to mention, you're on Facebook, you're checking in. Oh, I'm checking into, I'm going to Chipotle and I'm at a Chipotle now. You're telling the world where the fuck you are. You're telling the world your whole fucking business. And don't be wrong, I do it too. I'm doing a fucking podcast telling my life fucking story. That being said, look, they're talking about Russian hackers. First, I'm not that important. Russia ain't fucking hacking me because I'm a fucking scrub. No. But it's also like, I know I put my life out there. I'm not getting all bent out of shape because, this app is going to steal my face. I've posted 1 million fucking pictures of myself. I don't,
Dude, there's a reason why I rarely use a lot of my credit cards online because I'm like, I don't trust it. I don't fucking trust it.
Yeah.
And that's how I protect myself financially because what the fuck? I can't. Yeah. Oh, by the way, like there's, speaking of that, there's a Equifax thing going around. There's like a settlement, and you should look into it too. They're paying out money to people because they gave out your info or didn't give out your info.
Yeah, they didn't secure the info well enough where.
So I already submitted, but like I didn't lose any money out of it. So I was just like, well. I'll just
hack. I was saying, you're gonna hack me. Go right ahead and hack me. You're gonna take my fucking the $30 I have in my fucking checking account.
Yeah, exactly.
There ain't nothing. I mean, don't take it. I need it. But I mean, if you're a hacker and you're coming after me, you're wasting your fucking time.
You sound like one of my employees at the movie theater. She was like, oh, I'm going to McDonald's to buy with my $1, and I just started dying. I'm
look, I live on a fucking budget. You know what I'm saying? I'm not living a high life,
dude, brother. I'm gonna be right there with you once I get my apartment, man. Like I make enough right now where I can pay my bills off where I'm living, but I can tell you right now, the minute that I get an apartment, shit.
It's like I'm looking like literally
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like that are listening to this, like I'm targeting an apartment complex. Not targeting. Wait, that's wrong.
The opinions of Paul Fusillo not necessarily represent Two Strangers, One Podcast.
I'm not a terrorist, I swear. I'm looking at apartments. That's better terming. Thank God. Jesus Christ. That have everything included. So heat, hot water, cable, trash, and internet access. I found one, and I'm looking at it I'm going to be looking at it hopefully soon, and I'm hoping to get it because I really like that, and it's close by. My parents want me to be kind of close by in case something happens with my dad again. Because see, that was the other thing that happened, Chris. Around this time last year, probably it might have been today for all I know. Last year, my father, starting this month, and then for the next 2 months, he had to go in the hospital like 3 or 4 different times. Mm-hmm. Like it was one of those things where I was just like, somebody telling me that I was supposed to come back home, because that's some weird shit right there. Like that's some weird shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, it's been crazy, but I'm very happy where this is going. I mean, and I'm just This whole apartment thing is going to be so exciting for me. I'll probably invite you over, even though you smell. Yeah, I'm happy. So, but yeah, I mean, let's move on to this nerdy news.
Oh yeah, so
let's stop getting on this sappy shit.
Well, no, okay, just a couple more things before we go to break. Okay, the bottle cap challenge. Everybody's doing the bottle cap challenge. Yeah, Donnie Yen did it blindfolded. We had Jason Statham do it. I've seen
Ryan Reynolds fail epically at it. I don't even think he was trying to attempt it, but whatever.
I reposted an anime one where it was a girl with big giant tits is spinning around and her tits opening the cap. There's one from like Russia where the guy he's pretending to kick the bottle, but he's in a store that has a bunch of bottles, glass bottles on like a shelf, and he's pretending to kick the bottle, and he fucking ends up just on purpose fucking just scissor kicking the whole shelf full of fucking glass bottles. I mean, there's a million variations of this. I seen one where like an old lady, an old Spanish grandmother's throwing her sandal, or in Spanish they call it the chancla. You know, when you were a kid, your grandmother would hit you with the sandal. So there was one, I seen one with the old Spanish lady where she's throwing her chancla at the fucking bottle. There's a bunch of those, but it's it's one of those things. I want to mention it because that's what's going on right now. So when I listen to this podcast 30 years from now, I'm like, oh, I remember the bottle cap challenge. Okay. You said no Trump, but Trump did mention airports when he was talking about the history, but that was a couple of weeks, and it's so weird. A couple of weeks ago, and it feels like fucking forever. When Trump
Why don't we talk about, if we're going to talk about Trump, let's talk about Mueller.
Yeah, well,
talk about what happened yesterday.
Let's not do that. Let's not get into that right now. I'm mentioning it because it's in the notes. When
mention something and put it in your notes, all right.
When the people were him making like the tweets against all the crew, Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And then, people at the rally chanting, send her back, when she's a naturalized citizen. And, and saying send her back is so fucking, it shows you where these people's heads are at. And they obviously don't want to fucking, they don't want progress. They want things to go back. And it's funny because
let's just say it as simple as it is. Trump has enabled racists to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. And the whole thing is that it's like, oh, you know what? And exactly to come back out of the woodwork. That's the thing, is like they were always this way. And then the past like 2 or 3 decades, when people were sort of like it was frowned upon to be a fucking racist piece of shit, they kind of got quiet. And they sat there in waiting, And then all of a sudden, now that Trump's in office, now it's okay to bring those fucking hateful fucking feelings back. And once again, look, I've said things in the past that I'm not proud of, and unfortunately, yes, I do sometimes let stereotypes cloud my judgment and stuff like that.
The comments of Chris Cologne do not necessarily.
I'm just saying I'm a human being, and I understand that I'm a flawed human being, and I understand that I make mistakes and I do stupid fucking things, but at least I could sit there and go, you know what, I fucked up. When I said that stupid racist joke at one point, I fucked up. Look, I say I live in the fucking hood. Yeah, I live in the hood. I live in a predominantly black area. But then again, I have black family members. My ex-wife was black. And not that justifies me doing anything, but, I could sit here as a human being and go, Chris, how could you talking shit about racist and all this shit, but you said racist shit in the past. Yes, I have. And you know what? I shouldn't have. I was dumb and I was stupid and maybe I was trying to be funny. Maybe I do have a lot of fucking anger issues and hate in my fucking heart, but I don't hate black people. I don't think they should be put on fucking crosses and fucking burned. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I've said dumb shit in the past. Mm-hmm. But these people, they like Trump is their fucking champion. It was like, oh man, I can be that person I was again before. You know what I'm saying? I hated having to hold my tongue all these fucking decades or whatever. Cause the past like 30 years, things are starting to progress and towards the left and being a little more open-minded and a little more, and these people must have hated the past 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Where they have to hold their tongues and not be total pieces of shit. And now Donald Trump is fucking opened the floodgates and they could go back to being pieces of shit. So I'll leave it at that. I mean, if you want to talk about the Mueller stuff, I'm not ready
We'll talk about that in another podcast, okay? How about that?
Yeah. It's just, more fucking, just more reason to fucking impeach this cocksucker. And then, I did have I did put Puerto Rico in my notes, where people rallied so much that they fucking ousted the governor. You know what I'm saying? The governor. Did he
actually get out of office?
Shit. It should have happened today.
Because I was following it for a few days, and then they had the Mueller hearing, and I didn't hear anything else about that. So I know he said, the last thing I heard him say was he was gonna not run for re-election. But that was the last thing I heard.
I'm just looking at the headlines right now on NBCnews.com. Embattled Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rosselló resigns amid public outcry.
Good.
So once again, this is showing where if people do fucking get together, we can. Once again, how the fuck did he get in office in the first place? But there are people.
I think here's. I'm not going to spend all day on this, but here's where I'm at. Based on the hearing that we had yesterday, okay? Mm-hmm. Based on that hearing, we should start an impeachment inquiry. And here's why. Because shit would be fast-tracked if we did. Mm-hmm. So if we can get more information by doing an impeachment inquiry, that's fine. But I also think, Chris, that a lot of people just want to vote Donald Trump out. They want to use their voice by voting him out. So if that's the course that people want to take, I'm all for that. Yeah. But what we should do is we should start the impeachment inquiry anyways and just get all this information. So if this asshole somehow does get reelected, we can impeach him. That's where my thought process is at. Because, this guy is not, it's not that he's not doing his job. Here's something that I've been really, really wanting to say. Let's take Donald Trump's Twitter out of the equation and his stupid little rallies where he opens his mouth. Let's say he acted like a normal president. Shock, I know. Mm-hmm. If he were to do that and just focus in on his economic policies, dude, this guy would get reelected in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem. He talks way too much. He's talking like a racist, and his administration is in so much turmoil. 9 fucking cabinet members have either stepped down or got fired or quit because they couldn't handle it. And that's in a length of 2.5 years, Chris.
Yeah.
Like, if he wasn't in turmoil.
Birds of a feather, man.
Dude, like, if he wasn't in turmoil, he would probably get reelected. But guess what? People don't want him anymore because he opens his mouth too much. There's Republicans. This is the reason why I say that Joe Biden is the perfect choice, because he's not going for just Democrats. He's going to get a shitload of Republicans, and he's going to get a shitload of independents, because Republicans are secretly, they're doing the exact same thing they did when Trump was going for the White House. They're secretly not telling anybody, hey, I'm going to vote for this person if they become the Democratic nominee. Seriously, dude, I'm not lying. Like, the people are not telling the truth when it comes to their votes. That's what happened in the last election. People didn't tell the truth, and actually the internal polling that the Trump administration had, or the Trump team had for the campaign, was actually correct, because they were actually getting people to tell them the truth. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
I know. You're trying to reserve yourself. I get it, but I just wanted to say that because it's just the truth. If he would shut the fuck up and not do the things that he's doing, he probably actually would win a second term. Not that I want him to, but I'm just saying. Guess what? He's not going to be president next time. I don't care what. I don't care, like, these prediction models, blah 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 blah. If Joe Biden becomes the Democratic nominee, he's done. Trump is done, and I will predict it right here on this podcast right now. If Joe Biden becomes the nominee of the Democratic Party for the presidency of the United States in the next election, he will beat Donald Trump. That's my belief.
From your lips to God's ears, brother.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just frustrating.
I mean, we're coming up. We've just crossed over the hour mark, so
yeah. Nothing else that's super important.
Yeah.
Was I talking about Stranger Things season 3 last episode? Even though that sort of seems like nerdy news, I have it in my regular news because everything in my nerdy news is San Diego Comic-Con. But Stranger Things season 3, it's good. Watch it. it's better than season 2.
Apparently the train's coming to get me.
Yeah. All right. So I think with that, we have a whole other half of nerdy news. With that, we'll be back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was going to be a rough
How could you watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
And we're back. All right, Paul. All right, so we got all the other stuff out of the way. Let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con. And it's like, it just, I love it because it just means that like we're about 120-something days away from New York Comic-Con.
So the only thing you want to talk about is the Star Trek Picard trailer. Okay, but we can talk about that.
Oh, no, I mean, there's tons. Look, I got tons of I got more notes here than the first half of the show. All right, yeah, if you want to start with the Picard thing, holy shit. It looks fucking good. I was not a big fan of like when they started showing the Discovery shit because this is going to be CBS All Access, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Star Trek Discovery, I mean, I was curious and I watched like the first two, but they put like the first 2 episodes for free or something like that. You know, and I was curious, but I'll be honest with you. I didn't even like illegally stream the rest of the season. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know where to find it if I want to. This looks good. I mean, when they get to the whole like the girl and she's the chosen one or some shit like that, that feels like a little bit corny. But I mean, obviously you have to have some sort of plot. You can't focus it purely around Picard. He has to, be Picard around a crew of people. I mean, it's shot beautifully. I mean, it looks like a goddamn movie. Bringing back Data, or I don't know if that's Data though, because I think Data technically is destroyed. So that might be either Data's brother, or I think there was another Data. There was another one called like B4 or some shit like that.
D4, D5, something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a variation of Data, and of course the joke is, Data's an android. Why the fuck does this Data look all fat and bloated and old? I wonder if they're gonna write that into the script, like, I was programmed to look like I'm aging like a normal human being, so I don't look like a mannequin for 200 years. And don't be, it feels fucking great to see Brent Spiner again. Then Jerry Ryan as returns as 7 of 9, and of course, one of the big plot points in the Next Generation was when Picard got assimilated by the Borg. They called him the Cutis, and so he survived. I guess he's how many people could say that they were at one? I mean, besides him and 7 of 9, they're the only people in the world that could probably say, in that universe that they were Borg at one point. Now they're not Borg. Now they've gotten their personalities back and shit. So, I mean, smart idea. I mean, Jerry Ryan looks fucking fantastic. I mean, she's nice big titties. I mean, just saying, it's not like she's getting work anywhere else. It's not like she had when they called her, I'm pretty sure she didn't have anybody else on the line. But it's nice to see them bring her back. Just me speculating. I'm waiting for the episode where we see Q come back and fuck with Picard, because that was always his thing. And then once again, they got a young girl on the show, and he's got a protector or whatever, and he's with this ragtag crew, and so he's sort of acting. He's the leader of a crew, even though it's not a Starfleet crew. So they don't have to follow the rules. It's not like Star. And of course, half the episodes of The Next Generation was him breaking Starfleet's rules anyway, or bending the rules, or reimagining the rules. But now it's sort of it's him with his leadership abilities, in front of people that are more like mercenaries or something to that effect. I had saw a teaser thing. I don't know. Is Ian McKellen gonna have like a cameo on the show or something like that? Maybe. I had saw something to that effect. I mean, it would be brilliant if they did. And once again, even if he's fucking for 2 seconds on the show, I would think it would be incredibly smart on their behalf to bring him on. He's an incredible actor, to see him, for them to bring him on the show. Once again, it looks gorgeous. You think he's, he had always said that he had wanted to go become a farmer or work in a vineyard or some shit like that. So here we go, and we see him working in a vineyard. How soon until, online there's going to be, Picard Vineyards wine available? That's going to be the big like marketing thing. Which would probably taste like shit. It'd probably be like some shitty wine that they just slapped the Picard label on. It looks good. All the speculation that I have, I'm interested. I mean, I don't know if they're going to get my money, but I think I will illegally stream that show when it comes out. It looks good. It looks really fucking good. And it's okay. So, I guess, before we get into other deep, Comic-Con stuff, Rucker Hower passed away as we're recording this. He passed away last night. Mm-hmm. Probably best known for his role in Blade Runner as the synth. Is the synth? No, what do they call those? They weren't synth. Oh my god, what did they call they were robots, but they were almost human.
No idea.
Shit. But Rucker Hower, he had he kind of had a resurgence a little later in his career. He was in Hobo with a Shotgun, and he was in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. A bunch of cheesy 80s movies, Blind Fury, if I'm not mistaken, where he was a blind guy, but he could fight with a stick. He was one of those guys, like, he was in one of the Batman, the Chris Nolan Batman movies. People, you say his name, people know who you're talking about, Right. Not exactly a headliner, except for, probably back, and even in Blade Runner, he wasn't a headliner, but, a guy with a respectable career, a lot of action or genre movies, and a lot of science fiction or horror or something like that. So, a big shout out to Rucker Hower. And then, since our last episode, Rip Torn, which is, obviously a fake name, but Rip Torn is a funny ass fucking name, passed away. Probably best known by people as the original leader of the Men in Black movies. I guess people who listen to this podcast, he was in the Larry Sanders Show that was on HBO. A lot of people also know him as the trainer from Dodgeball. If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
Yes. Yep.
And so Rip Torn was very much a man's man, a guy's guy. There was a movie years ago in the 80s called Summer Rental, and it's a John Candy movie. And, Rip Torn had a voice that, like, a very indistinguishable voice. And I think the first time I got to know him was in this movie called Summer Rental, where he plays this guy named Scully, who's John Candy plans a family vacation, and everything goes wrong. The house they booked got, it was a wrong booking. They end up in the shitty house. The shitty house was by like a public beach where everyone's just walking by their house, and they just couldn't get any peace and all the shit. So then his family basically ends up doing his family ends up abandoning him. And so he's on the trip, and, they're all doing their own things, and the daughter starts hooking up with a boy, and, she gets distracted, and the sons end up, hanging out with this other dude, whatever. So then he ends up hanging out with John Candy's character ends up hanging out with Rip Torn, who's Scully, who's a guy who he owns a seafood restaurant, and it's this shitty seafood restaurant, but he's also he's like a pirate. And the whole thing is like, the joke is that, like, you're not a pirate, you run a fucking seafood restaurant. It's like a character. But he teaches John Candy how to sail, and all the rules and knots and, catching the wind and all this other shit. So, then at the end of the movie, they have like a big sailing competition. It was the 80s movies, where they have a big competition and he has to win his respect of his family back. But Rip Torn in that movie is fucking genius. Was it M? I think it was M. It was a Men in Black. Was that the name of his character? Oh no, Zed. Zed was the name of his character in Men in Black. So, just a shout out to Rip Torn. Okay. San Diego Comic-Con trailers. And this is the one that's on the top of my list. The Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Of course it is.
I am so fucking excited about that. Kevin Smith started filming the movie. At least he filmed it earlier this year because he had a heart attack last year in February, and to the day that he had a heart attack this year, he started filming. They had like a month or so to get everything banged out. I think one of the biggest surprises in the trailer that a lot of people were surprised to see is he actually got Ben Affleck back, because people who follow Kevin Smith and all his world, him and Ben Affleck had like a falling out like 8 years ago, and which is weird because if it wasn't for Kevin Smith, Ben Affleck wouldn't be as famous as he was. He put him in Mallrats and he put him in Chasing Amy, and they had written Ben Affleck and Matt Damon wrote Good Will Hunting, and I think it was like Kevin Smith who he produced that script that they wrote. So, if there was no Kevin Smith, there'd be no... Ben Affleck, his career probably would have started a little later, but Kevin Smith produced Good Will Hunting, or he was one of the producers of Good Will Hunting. So, that's what put Ben Affleck's name on the map. And then unfortunately a couple years ago, they had a big falling out, and, people were always kind of wondering. And so for him to be in this movie reprising his role as Banksy, whatever the fuck the character's name is, Holden, or whatever. I can't believe I forgot the character's name. A lot of people are surprised about that. Because he plays like 3 different characters in all his movies, so I always forget which one he's playing. He's playing the guy who helped create Blunt Man and Chronic. It's called Reboot. It's sort of the same premise as Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where they're stopping a Blunt Man and Chronic movie from being made, when in the 2001 Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, they were stopping a Blunt Man and Chronic movie being made. But this one is a reboot, and the reboot is sort of like this edgy Batman v Superman, where they make it all dark, and of course, it's Blunt Man v Chronic, and it's Val Kilmer as Blunt Man, and Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl, as Chronic. So it's funny, they got Supergirl and Batman to play Blunt Man and Chronic. So I'm super excited about that. There's a scene, I'm assuming towards the end of the movie, where Kevin Smith puts on the first Iron Man costume, but it's, instead of Iron Man, it's Iron Bob. So it looks like Silent Bob, but it's a robot, and you see him the same way we used to see Robert Downey Jr.'s head, like when it's all black with this, the screen in front of him showing all the technical readouts. It's Silent Bob with all the readouts, so that's going to be funny. There's like Cock Knocker henchmen or something. If you remember, Mark Hamill played Cock Knocker in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And this movie, like, you see a quick scene in the they call Chronicon, not Comic-Con, Chronicon, a bunch of guys like with the big cock knocker fist. So I don't know. I'm super excited about that. Comes out in October. They are having a Fathom events where you can watch. They're going to play Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Reboot back to back on October 17th. So I'm so there, dude. Okay, other trailers. And there was a couple. I don't have every single trailer here. But ones that sort of fit to the show. The Witcher trailer, starring Henry Cavill, the guy who plays Superman. I never played any of the Witcher games. I think if there's more than one, I don't know. But I guess fans are complaining that in the movie he has one sword, because in the video game he carries 2 swords. But that being said, the games themselves were based on the book, and then in the book the character only carried one sword, and then again, you know, let's do the first movie with one sword, and then when they get to the second movie he could do two swords. Okay, are you happy, you fucking nerds? All right, the next trailer that I have, and I don't know why I have this on my list, Cats, which looks like a fucking nightmare. It looks like this is what happens, you know, this is what furries are into and stuff like that. Like, if you let furries make a movie, it would look like Cats. It just looks very odd. You know, like they kind of, you know, they look like ballet dancers and stuff like that, but they kind of using the CGI and they kind of, the way they're molding their face with the cat fur and stuff like that. Like, there was a million ways they could have made this movie. But it just looks disturbing. I had actually taken my mom to see Cats on Broadway when I was younger, and, you know, it was like a birthday gift or whatever, and I fucking fell asleep in the theater. Like I did. And, you know, and part of the, one of the things of going to see Cats in the theaters was, in the actual, like, on Broadway, was like, they come out into the crowd and they dance around you guys and they jump on the seats and stuff like that. And, like, the funny thing is I had fallen asleep, and I think, like, they had decided to fuck with me because I fell asleep, you know. And it's just, you know, sort of you wake up and, like, there's a guy in a fucking leotard with his dick in your face. Like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't pay for this. So that's my little turn with Cats. Something I think you had complained about this, but I kind of understand why they did this. Top Gun, because it's not.
I didn't complain.
Well, not complain, but it's like it's not a Comic-Con style trailer. You know what I'm saying? Like, and were you complaining about that, or was it maybe I'm confusing that with somebody else? Where
no,
they were sort of like, why are they releasing a Top Gun trailer around Comic-Con time because it's not really the Comic-Con audience? Were you saying something like that, or
I was saying that basically. I didn't understand why they were releasing a Top Gun trailer at San Diego Comic-Con, but then everybody was like, well, they do this for regular movies at San Diego Comic-Con anyways, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, obviously people who like Marvel movies like action and DC movies like action. This is obviously an action movie, you know, not to mention that, you know, I mean, the whole world is watching. I mean, for people who are into that, people who are into movies and stuff like that, they're all watching San Diego Comic-Con those 4 days. So you know, it almost seems like a no-brainer. So, you know, now if you were doing, like, releasing a fucking romantic comedy or some shit like that during New York Comic Con, okay, now we're, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. But, for Top Gun, you know, it makes sense. Now, that being said, I don't give a shit about Top Gun. I think I've seen it once in the theater, you know, and I know a lot of people are, you know, they talk about, you know, how it's very homoerotic and that, you know, watching Tom Cruise play volleyball with a bunch of shirtless guys on the beach and that, you know, this is, you know, I don't know. Once again, I could give two shits about Top Gun. I played like the Nintendo video game. That's probably the most. I probably played the game, you know, the Nintendo video game years and years and years ago, and that's my only experience with Top Gun, other than watching the movie like once. Sorry, I had to take a drink. You know, I think
that's what she said.
Like, I'm more of a Hot Shots kind of guy. You know, when they parodied Top Gun. I think I've watched Hot Shots, you know, 100 times. I think I've watched Top Gun once. So, I mean, not that I'm shitting on it. And I think one of the big things about this movie, with Tom Cruise being the fucking intense psychopath that he is that, I believe he's like legitimately flying the jets when they're filming, you know. And once again, I mean, here's a guy with more money than God. He can do that shit. He's a very intense kind of guy, you know, with the proper training. Oh, absolutely. You know, if you could take a fucking 18-year-old who joins the service and teach him how to fucking fly a jet, I'm pretty sure you could teach fucking Tom Cruise. So, you know, and plus, like, you know, these movies, how many people probably join the service because they watch Top Gun? You know what I'm saying? So, exactly. You know, it only makes sense that, you know, if he's properly trained and you have the people who are in charge of these $1 million fucking machines and they give him the A-OK, all right, let him fucking fly a plane. If he dies, he fucking dies. You know, I'm pretty sure he was insured enough where if they needed to pay for the plane, they could have. And the guy makes, you know, he's one of the top paid guys in Hollywood. So that's, the funny thing is, the next in my notes was Picard, but we already spoke about that. It, Chapter 2.
Oh, don't talk about that. Oh, God.
Why?
One of my coworkers is obsessed with it, so it's kind of turned me off to everything that is it.
And that's the weird thing is that, like, once again, like Top Gun, I don't care about It Chapter 2. Now, that being said, keep in mind, I read the book. I read the book years ago. I have the original series I have in my house. I have it on fucking DVD and I have it on fucking VHS cassette. You know, the original, I say the original, but you know, the first, you know, miniseries I watched a bunch. You know, I've watched a billion fucking times. You know, obviously they don't do all the things they do in the book because it was on ABC. It was on primetime TV. I did not like the reboot. Now, the funny thing is, I actually have the reboot on fucking DVD also, but I sort of bought it just sort of like to complete my collection. Like, you know, if I have all this other shit, I might as well get the new one. Like if somebody says I want to go see it, I'll go with them, but I can't see myself leaving the house to go see it. I really don't care. I mean, am I curious? Obviously, since I saw the first half, am I curious to see how it goes? Yeah, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be let down the way I was let down because the movie, although, okay, obviously the movie was better than the miniseries, you know, there's still huge chunks of the book that they skipped and they went over and you know, it doesn't entice me at all. I really don't care. Like if I miss it and I wait for it just to come out on DVD, I'll buy it when it's, you know, $5 in the fucking bin at Walmart. You know, Chapter 2. You know, or maybe I'll illegally stream it because
oh my god, you and illegally streaming shit.
Just keeping it real with you. What I'm saying, I'm not.
I wish you wouldn't.
Oh, that's right. I'll go to where you work and
no, you won't.
All right. So after that, Watchmen. HBO's Watchmen. Once again, it's funny. I'm such a fucking nerd, and I liked the original. Like I've read the comic. Obviously, the Zack Snyder's version of the movie it's incredible. You know, Zack Snyder made. I just wish he had. Now, mind you, this is following the comic, not the movie. But then again, the movie was so accurate. The only thing that was different was in Zack Snyder's version, at the end, he made it look like a nuclear bomb went off in Manhattan. When in the comics, Ozymandias produced. He basically had his scientists make a giant mutant squid. And he dropped it in the middle of Manhattan as if it was an attack. And so, according to this, and actually in the trailer, there's a quick shot, if you pause it, where you could actually see a picture of the squid, or at least a drawing of the squid, which is the same drawing from the comic. Not that you don't have to read the comic because the movie, the Zack Snyder's version was so close. The only thing is just keep in mind in this world, it wasn't a nuclear blast that killed millions of people. It was a giant squid. I don't like the way it's going. We see the character Hooded Justice in the trailer. Looks very comic accurate. That's fine, but then again, it's obviously someone pretending to be Hooded Justice. Or not pretending to be, because in the Watchmen books, there'll be a superhero, and then once that superhero gets old or something like that, someone else will take up the mantle. So like the Night Owl character, there's 2 Night Owls. You know, there's 2 Silk Spectres. So we see a character that's dressed up like Hooded Justice, and a screen accurate version of a comic accurate version of Hooded Justice, but it's obviously not Hooded Justice because the original Hooded Justice is dead. But once again, you know, it's somebody else taking up the Hooded Justice mantle. Obviously, there's a cult of Rorschachs. Jeremy Irons is playing Ozymandias, which is fucking perfect casting. You know, and the only thing is, you know, Ozymandias was younger in the comics, but I mean, you know, Jeremy Irons playing Ozymandias is fucking perfect casting. So that I like. But you know, it's supposed to be like this whole world, and it's years after the Watchmen, and you know, they have now, because the police, you know, in the movie, it's an alternate universe where like Richard Nixon is still president in 1985, and the police, they were anti-superhero laws. But then, like, I guess police were getting killed. So now even, like, the police are wearing masks. So where, like, you're a police officer, but you wear, like, a yellow bandana over your nose and your mouth so, like, people can't see your face. So it's, like, this weird fucked up world where even the police have to fucking wear masks. When the funny thing was, a couple years ago, they were against superheroes wearing masks because they had no accountability. So, I mean, it's an interesting take. I don't know where it's going. I'm not exactly thrilled. I'll probably watch the first couple episodes to see if it's worth anything, but, you know, that's just, my take. And then, Alan Moore, who was notorious for, Alan Moore, the guy who wrote the comic, he also wrote V for Vendetta. He wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I'm trying to think if there was one other major comic that everyone knows. Shit. But the thing was, after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he said, "I don't want Holly." He was so pissed off on how horrible that movie was. Bless you. he was so pissed off on how and the funny thing is you would think he would like the Zack Snyder version of the Watchmen because it's so accurate, except for the ending. But Alan Moore doesn't like any interpretations of his comics being remade into movies. And it happened like after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He's like, fuck this, fuck Hollywood. I don't want anybody touching my work again. Except he doesn't own the work. DC owns the work, so DC can do whatever the fuck they want. But he has spoken out against the series. And then Damon Lindelof, best known for being one of the co-writers of Lost, had on like quoted saying, "Fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway," which is weird. But then again, I mean, Alan Moore should be used to people destroying his work. So, not that I'm for it, but get used to it, Alan. And I understand why he's pissed off, because League of Extraordinary Gentlemen sucked, and V for Vendetta was a lot more complex than what the movie was, but they would have to have like 4 V for Vendettas or 3 V for Vendettas to properly represent the comic books. And nowadays, they want to make one and done movies. Okay, so next, Dark Crystal. I forgot the subtitles, like Dark Crystal New Rebellion or some shit like that. For the fans of the Dark Crystal movies, Jim Henson, nightmare puppets and and weird looking elves. I mean, how many kids are traumatized by those movies growing up? But they're doing a whole Netflix series. I'll watch it, I guess. I wasn't a big fan of the movies when they first came out, but I mean, I am curious to see how they do it. It's all practical effects. I think, they'll use CGI to fucking fix a couple things, but it's going to be all puppets and Muppets and all that other good shit, so that looks cool.
Oh
my. Terminator, Dark Fate. There's rumors going around that Eddie Furlong might be in the movie.
Apparently he showed up at the panel.
So he showed up at the panel. I mean, it only makes sense if this is supposed to take place. I mean, it could be a flashback. It could be, an illusion. It could be, the robot if the robot can make himself look like anybody, maybe he can make it look like Eddie Furlong just to fuck with Sarah Connor. I mean, there's a million different variations. Of course, Eddie Furlong had a lot of history with drugs and crime and shit like that. So, I am excited. He wouldn't be there if he wasn't. So he's going to be in the movie. Yeah, I mean, clean, but I mean, and it's, that check isn't going to fucking bounce, Eddie. You know what I'm saying? Get your shit together and show up and play nice. And I don't think he's an asshole or anything like that, but I'm just saying is that, I'm excited if he is going to be in it. Obviously, he probably is going to be in it. It'll probably be some sort of flashback or something like that, but, he was there for T2. This is the real sequel to T2. The other, 3 through 6 don't count anymore. So I'm excited about it, and hopefully Eddie, we'll get you fucking work again. Stay clean and fucking, we'll get you some more work, okay?
What are you, the gangster boss of Hollywood?
It's like, you wanted, he was in one of the biggest movies ever made. I want him to fucking be, stop being let him, maybe this will be a resurgence in his career. Maybe, the same way like, they brought back, what's his face in Pulp Fiction, maybe this will be his renaissance. Okay. Disney's Mulan, which I didn't see it at
Comic-Con. It looks really good.
I didn't see it at Comic-Con, but but this is just a trailer that has come out since the last episode. This seems to be serious. I don't think this is going to be, there's no, what the hell's the dragon's name? Mushu? Or whatever.
They haven't introduced him yet.
But do you think, they didn't even give and now, if they take this totally serious, where it's not a musical and there's no comical fucking, dragon or whatever, I'm all for it also, if they want to take it serious. But it's an interesting, it's funny that with all these live action movies that they're doing, that if they go for the serious take, where it's, where, you keep it all girl power and all that other stuff. But, I am curious, Mulan was a little bit after my time. So like, it's of course, like Little Mermaid. And I had that in my notes earlier where they want to turn Little Mermaid black. I don't give a shit. And I think we might have talked about that the last episode. Yeah, I don't care. I really don't. I love The Little Mermaid. I have no problem with them making her black. So with this one, having Mulan or whatever, if they make it serious, I don't have fond memories as a child of, I love Mulan and I watched it all the time. If they want to make it serious, make it look serious. I mean, it looks good though, and Disney's been sort of having ups and downs. Like, some of these live action remakes have been great and some of these haven't been great. We're recording this and The Lion King came out and everyone seems to fucking love it. So, I'm curious about Mulan when it comes out, but, and fucking McDonald's better bring out some Szechuan sauce.
All right, Rick and Morty.
And that comes out. Okay, so, all right, off the trailers, but other Comic-Con stuff, news. The DC TV shows, Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of the Tomorrow, they're doing a crossover episode. And of course they've done crossover episodes in the past where they've gone to each other's shows. Now they're doing a multiverse episode. And the multiverse being that they're bringing back people who were in other DC properties, like Burt Ward as Robin, which is weird because Burt Ward is like 70 years old.
And very fat.
So a 70-year-old Robin is going to be interesting to see. I hope, because now technically when he gets older, he's not Robin anymore. He's Nightwing. So it's going to be interesting to see this fat old guy dressed up like Nightwing. And I hope they put him in the 80s Nightwing costume with the big high collar where it looks like disco. He's going to a disco. That being said, also another person a little older, they're bringing back Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. That's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I love Linda Carter and I'm pretty sure she's still in good enough shape where they could probably put her in something a little, sexy.
Oh God.
Brandon Routh, and the funny thing is, Brandon Routh, who plays Captain Atom on Legends of the Tomorrow, is coming back to play Superman, the way he played Superman in that one and done Superman Returns movie. But he's playing what they call the Kingdom Come version of Superman, where it's supposed to be Superman much, much older. He has like graying temples. He's very serious because, he's seen a lot of shit. So, but still, it's Brandon Routh coming back as Superman. And then the one that's been rumored, which I think you're gonna like, that's rumored they're gonna bring back is Tom Welling in Smallville.
Yeah, but I think he's not gonna be Superman.
No, he has to be Superman. I thought that's the whole deal, that it's gonna be different Supermen. They're gonna be, Brandon Routh, the guy that plays Superman now, Brandon Routh, and then Tom Welling as, it has to be. If he doesn't play Superman, then it makes no fucking sense for them to. But then again, like, they did bring, like, Dean Cain is technically part of Supergirl because they casted Dean Cain to be Supergirl's Earth dad.
Yep.
Even though he played, and it would be weird if they had him come back as Superman, but then again, they are bringing back Brandon Routh, so sorry about that. I don't think they're going to give Dean Cain I don't think they're going to give Dean Cain the cape. I could have sworn I kind of Googled it right now. I could have sworn that I heard that he's coming back, but maybe that was just a rumor.
He'd said in an article, he was on the guy that played Lex Luthor in Smallville. He was on his podcast, and he said that he'd be willing to come back as Batman in an episode. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, the only that's interesting. I don't know, because they seem to really try to. It's funny that they'll put Superman in the show, but they really try to skew away from Batman. They want to save those for the movies and stuff like that. Like even with Batwoman, like I think like Batman's like, you see like his cape running away, and then like that's all we're gonna see of Batman in the CW shows. But I don't know. But if he comes back, they better fucking make him Superman. Don't play this fucking bullshit. All right, so that's the Arrowverse crossover. They had announced at Comic-Con a Snowpiercer TV show. Did you ever see the movie Snowpiercer?
No, I didn't.
It's a movie. It has Chris Evans in it, and it's supposed to be like a future where like the environment has gone to fucking where the whole Earth is like frozen, and all of humanity lives on this fucking train.
So basically Rochester, gotcha.
and so it's this train that circles the Earth, and they have to keep moving because if they stop moving, they'll freeze over themselves. And then like the train is sort of like an allegory for society, where the closer you are to the front of the train, the more rich you are and stuff like that. And like the poor people try to. In the movie, they start a rebellion and push their way towards the front, and like the guy that leads the rebellion finally follows. He gets to the front. Now, there's a very interesting. If you ever watched the movie, there are a couple of videos about this on YouTube where they're saying Snowpiercer is Willy Wonka in the future.
Weird.
Yeah, where like because it's supposed to be like this genius who has unconventional ideas and all this other stuff. And then like when you watch the movie, there's like a character that looks like or acts like Veruca Salt, and there's a character that kind of acts like Violet, and there's a character that kind of acts like Augustus Gloop, and all the characters from the movie. So it's sort of like this weird, twisted version of Willy Wonka in this world. And then of course the last guy, the guy in the front of the train, the main guy is supposed to be Willy Wonka, and and he offers Chris Evans, I mean, spoilers. But, he offers Chris Evans a chance to run the fucking train. Like, he goes, I need someone to take over when I die, so, why not be you? So it's very much like the Charlie character from Willy Wonka. So, I mean, I don't know if you ever saw the movie. The movie's, it's good. It's not a bad movie. But now they're making it into a TV show, so obviously, I don't know. It's starting all over again. But once again, if you ever watch the movie, watch these videos on YouTube comparing Snowpiercer to Willy Wonka. It's pretty interesting. Obviously, I think the guy it isn't a coincidence. Batman Beyond coming to Blu-ray. Holy fucking shit! Super excited about that. Which then again, I was super excited about Batman the Animated Series coming to Blu-ray, but I'm just too broke to buy it. It was like $65, $85 or something like that. But
something.
I mean, I know my birthday passed, or we're a couple of months away from Christmas. If anyone wants to get me a Batman Beyond on Blu-ray,
nope.
I'll be super excited. And the whole thing is that like the guy, the DC what's the guy, public relations guy, who were both who's the guy that kind of hooks up all of our interviews for Comic-Con. I wouldn't be surprised if when we go to Comic-Con, or when I go to Comic-Con, there'll be some sort of Batman Beyond panel. So it'll probably be Will Friedle again and Kevin Conroy again, which I'm not fucking complaining at all. So that's, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but hopefully we'll get those interviews. And I'll interview Kevin Conroy for a third or fourth fucking time. All right. Rick and Morty season 4. They had showed a little clip at Comic-Con. Nothing, just another episode or whatever, and they have an alien that's creating an app, and of course, in the world of Rick and Morty, it's probably an app that takes over the world or some shit like that. For the Transformers fan, now we're gonna get to the Marvel shit in a second, but let me just wrap this up. For the Transformers fans, they had put out a Unicron, for the 1986, the only good Transformers movie. Unicron was the bad guy. Was a giant planet that transformed into a giant robot, and 8 other planets. They had put out like this deluxe Unicron for Transformers, cost $575, and it looks fucking gorgeous, and I want it, but I don't have that kind of money. If I had that kind of fucking money, I would have bought one, because right now a lot of the people the other fans, and friend of the show John Galbo, he got the Optimus Prime, not Optimus Prime, the Ghostbusters one, where it's Ecto 1. Ecto 1 transforms into a robot, and it's right. It's called like Electron. Is it Electron or Proton? Or Protron? I don't know, whatever. But, so they released that, and I think, those were kind of expensive. I think that was going for like $200 or something like that. Maybe on the aftermarket, it was going for like $200. Yeah, but which then again, that's $575. That's what Hasbro was asking. I can only imagine once it hits fucking eBay, it'll probably be like $2,000 or some shit like that. But I want one. I'm never going to get one, but I want one. Then also the last bit before we get into the Marvel stuff, before we get into Phase 4, Eddie Murphy.
Jesus Christ.
What? I live for this shit, bro. Give me, let me have this. Eddie Murphy is looking to ink a deal with Netflix, of which he will be the highest paid. I want to say, I think, for comedians. Because what they gave like Dave Chappelle $60 million, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Eddie Murphy's going for like $70 million, and I don't quote me on that because I think I read that as like a rumor. But so Eddie Murphy is going to come back and do a comedy special, or at least a couple of comedy specials, at least 2, if I'm not mistaken, for Netflix. The same way Dave Chappelle, like they released them both at the same time. Chris Rock was also one of the higher paid ones. So I mean, Eddie Murphy coming back. I think, he's been wanting to come do, and then they teased it with there's a new season of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld. So one of his interviews is Eddie Murphy, and it turns out I guess Jerry Seinfeld and Eddie Murphy knew each other back in the early '80s, and they were both comedians. So it's cool. So Eddie Murphy's gonna come back. I love Delirious and I love Raw. His first two specials. You like
it Raw? Okay.
He did a bunch of fucking Disney movies, which look, those checks don't bounce. You can't blame him for like Haunted Mansion or Meet Dave. Stupid movies, yes, but look, a paycheck's a fucking paycheck. But I think we're gonna get the nasty, dirty, curse-filled Eddie Murphy back, and I'm super excited about that. I like Dave Chappelle and I like Chris Rock and all this other shit, but Eddie Murphy is sort of like an elder statesman, and I want to see him come back and come back hard. All right, Paul. Let's talk Marvel Phase 4. Let's talk about the things that they didn't announce, or not didn't announce, but weren't really part of it. There was nothing on the timeline for Black Panther 2. There was nothing on the timeline for Ant-Man 3. There was nothing on the timeline for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. What's the other one? I think there's one more. That nothing on the timeline for Spider-Man, but then again, that's...
no Black Panther either.
Yeah, no Black Panther. The only one that's coming back, or the only one that's new on the list... Not new, excuse me. The only one that's a sequel on the list is Doctor Strange.
Right.
Of which they said it's called Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and they had teased the multiverse in Spider-Man Far From Home. And we could talk about it now because that fucking movie's been out for like a month now. In Spider-Man Far From Home, they say Mysterio's from another universe. He's not, but they speculate about other universes as scientists. So in this world now, and especially now that they've announced it in Doctor Strange, there is a multiverse. So with that, they can have a lot of fun doing, weird versions of other characters. The Doctor Strange one, they said, is going to be Marvel's first horror movie, which I think is super interesting. Doctor Strange always kind of, has to deal with like mystical and spiritual and this other realm type stuff. So there's a lot of horror that can be done. It being a multiverse, we can go back and, you can bring back any fucking character that's been alive in the, any character that's even been hinted at in the Marvel universe can be part of this movie because it's the multiverse. Whether if someone is dead in one universe, they don't necessarily have to be dead in this universe. What else? Okay, so because Fox had a movie coming out later. Fox had originally planned on it was an X-Men related movie that was supposed. What was that movie supposed to be called?
I don't remember.
Shit. It sort of got shelved or whatever.
I can't remember what it was. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that didn't get. I think it's going to get released, but they'll probably just put it on Disney Plus or whatever. That was supposed to be not supposed to be the first horror movie, but that had horror elements, and that got shelved. So that shit ain't happening. So what I have in my notes, we have and Endgame finally beat Avatar, which of course the joke is they're both owned by Disney, so what's the big competition? Disney.
Don't you mean Disney dragged the dead carcass of Avengers over the line?
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a fan of these movies. I'm glad that it beat Avatar. But then again, like I said, Disney wins anyway. But that being said, neither have actually beat Gone with the Wind. When you take Gone with the Wind and adjust for inflation, that's actually the highest grossing movie of all time. But then again, that's a movie that came out almost 100 years ago, maybe 80 years ago. So, one of the shows that were announced, and this one I believe is going to be a Disney Plus show, is What If. And What If from the comics, and that's a Disney Plus show. I believe it's going to be animated. I could be wrong. With What If, in those comics, there was back in the day, what if Luke Cage got Mjolnir? What if, Wolverine, what if the Punishers, what if they took the Punisher and gave him Wolverine's powers? What if the Punisher was what if the Punisher, was born with mutant powers like Wolverine? and his family got killed and so. I mean, just weird, I love those comics when I was growing up because, you don't have to follow continuity. You don't have to follow any kind of storyline. Now, the one thing that a lot of people notice is that if you look at the logo up close for the What If, you see in the upper left corner Marvel Zombies. And from Spider-Man Far From Home, there's a great scene in the movie. And I think I didn't want to talk about it the last episode, but I could talk about it now. And if you want to say spoiler alert. There's a scene where Mysterio fucks with Spider-Man using all these funky projections and holograms and illusions, where there's a whole scene where Peter Parker can't tell what's real and what's not real. And it's Mysterio fucking with him. And then there's a part where Mysterio says, like, you'll never live up to Tony Stark and you'll never live up to Iron Man and all this other shit. And then they use Iron Man, like, crawling out of the ground, mask half gone with a skull in it, looking like Marvel Zombies. So they give an homage to the Marvel Zombies by showing that scene, in a beautiful, CGI of a Tony Stark with half the face missing, with the skull under it, and all the other shit. So it was obviously a homage to the Marvel Zombies. But then once again, if you look at the What If logo in the upper left corner, you see the Marvel Zombies in there. So obviously they're probably going to take on that, because you can't do it in the cinematic universe, because continuity would fuck up all these continuities. But you can make it a What If, and once again animated, so you can have fun with it. One of the other things that's kind of teased in the logo is a Captain America type. And long story short, it's probably going to be what if Peggy Carter became Captain America. They had gave her the super soldier serum. So that's going to be another one that's speculated that they're going to, one of the other stories they're going to do. There's a couple others, but I don't know off the top of my head what they are. There's the Eternals movies, and part of the Eternals movies are the Celestials. And if you remember from Guardians of the Galaxy, the Celestials were the characters that kind of had the Infinity Stones before, and and then were trying to use it to like destroy planets and shit like that. So it ties right into Guardians of the Galaxy. It ties right into Endgame. The Celestials, who are like the parents of the Eternals, those characters already have been established. So we'll see those characters again in the Eternals movies. They have Angelina Jolie and Kumail Nanjiani in the movie. Once again, it's basically Guardians. It's a new Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's look at all these weird fucking odd characters and let's make a movie out of it. Blade. How you feel about Blade, Paul?
If it's PG-13, it's gonna suck.
Yeah, that's the one thing that everyone is sort of. I mean, that's one of the things I've heard people fucking get upset about. The one of the bigger part of the news about that is the what was his name? I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. But the guy who won, he was from Green Book. He played Cottonmouth in Luke Cage, showing that the MCU, the movie universe, does not give a shit about the Netflix shows. They took the same actor, and they're making him Blade. And then the funny thing was that, I mean, he had already played Cottonmouth, and as soon as they said, and this is the story, like the day after he won his Oscar, he called up Kevin Feige and said, I want to be Blade. So, I mean, I don't know if you call that brilliant or if it's a dick move. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. And obviously people wanted to see Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes is getting old. Come on. You know what I'm saying? Would I love to see Wesley Snipes? Absolutely, I would love to see Wesley Snipes. But come on. He's not going to do, if these movies go out, I don't want to see Wesley Snipes in 10 years still playing Blade. That's sad. You know what I'm saying? Get a younger guy in there, young blood, get the joke, playing Blade. And once again, once you go back to the multiverse of madness in Doctor Strange, you can have a cameo by Wesley Snipes. You know what I'm saying? In the multiverse, you could bring back anybody. You could bring back someone from like the earlier Fantastic Four movies. You could technically have Deadpool. You could technically have Patrick Stewart playing fucking Professor X if you wanted to, because in the multiverse you could bring back any character. So we might see Wesley again, but he can't fucking headline the movie. He's, come on. I love Wesley to death, but let's let the man rest. So that's pretty cool. Thor: Love and Thunder, which you had asked, how the hell is Natalie Portman supposed to play a female Thor?
Mm-hmm.
From the comics, the storyline is Thor does something, and that I don't know, that deems himself, it makes him not worthy to to wield Mjolnir. The Natalie Portman's character, Jane Foster, the character, is actually dying of cancer. But Mjolnir does find her worthy. So when she picks up Mjolnir, and once again, this is sort of, and if you remember in Endgame, there's a part where, Thor gets the hammer, and even though he looks like a fat slob or whatever, like, he picks up the Mjolnir, and Mjolnir kind of fixes his, not that he's still fat, but like, it makes his hair clean and his beard clean, and he puts on all these cool new clothes. So, Natalie Portman's character, when she holds Mjolnir, is no longer affected by the cancer and stuff like that, and becomes like, this, I don't know how they're going to do it in the movie, because Natalie Portman looks like she's 105 pounds soaking wet, but she's supposed to be a thick, muscle-bound, attractive woman that's basically Thor, but she has a part of her helmet covers her eyes and her nose, so you never really see her face. But technically, when she's holding the sword, she becomes Thor. And then Thor, since he's like disgraced, he goes by the name Odinson, which is what it's his last name. Odin's son. He's Odin's son, so he feels himself not worthy to even call himself Thor. He calls himself Odinson. So Love and Thunder, being directed by fucking Taika Waititi, the guy who did, Thor Ragnarok. I trust him. I'm pretty sure he's going to have fun with it. Natalie Portman is funny because, we all thought Natalie Portman, because remember, they had her footage in Endgame, and they're like, wow, they had to use this old footage that they recorded years ago to bring her back, and then now all of a sudden they're giving her own fucking movie. So, once again, those Disney checks don't bounce. So she's back, Like I said, they probably backed up the fucking Brinks trucks to our house. So, and then people are like, oh, she's the first girl Thor. Well, if you remember in the 80s movie, Adventures in Babysitting, there was a girl that was rocking the Thor helmet back in the day. But that's just me. All right, I have one more thing and we'll wrap it up. Okay. Oh, no, two things. I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
This will be like a 2-hour episode. They're doing.
Don't mind me. You'll just hear me start snoring. It'll be fine.
They're finally doing a Black Widow movie. It's sad that we had to get, and I have nothing against Captain Marvel, but we should have gotten a Black Widow movie before we got a Captain Marvel movie. For the character that was dead and can never come back from Endgame, boom, they're going to give us a prequel movie where they talk about, the early training of the Black Widow program and the Red Room. And I think they're going to try to fix, like from Age of Ultron, when they were talking about how, I was sterilized and I was turned into a monster. A lot of people didn't like that. So, they're gonna, talk on that. They're bringing David Harbour in, the guy who plays Hopper from Stranger Things and played Hellboy. He's gonna be in it. There's one more famous person in it. Whatever. But so we're gonna get a Black Widow movie where it's gonna be, Black Widow, training and fighting people that also she was trained with. And I mean, there's a couple other things here, but these are the ones I'm going to talk about. And then my last thing I wanted to mention was the Shang-Chi movie. And if you see the logo, and it's what Shang-Chi, something about the 10 Rings, the Legend of the 10 Rings. And if you remember from the very first Iron Man movie, when Iron Man gets captured by the terrorists, they are the 10 Rings. And then by the time we got to Iron Man 3, they had mentioned there was a Mandarin who, the character in the movie ended up being a fake Mandarin that was, pretending to be. But there was a Marvel one-shot, a little, and you can look it up right now, and there's officially on YouTube, like on the Marvel page. It's called All Hail the King. And it's, the character from Iron Man 3 in jail, and basically, they at the end of the, and it's, I hope I'm not spoiling it, they say, hey, the real Mandarin wants to have a couple of words with you. So apparently there is a evil criminal mastermind part of this, Asian style, Asian-ish mafia, triads or Yakuza, whatever you want to call it, who's in charge of all this shit, and he's going to have a couple of words with the guy that was pretending to be the Mandarin. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that character in the Shang-Chi movie. But that being said, that's going, the same way Multiverse of Madness was a horror movie, Shang-Chi's going to be a kung fu flick. So I like, how Ant-Man was a heist movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy was sort of like a space opera, and Winter Soldier was like a spy thriller. They're putting these movies that, okay, now we're going to have a horror movie. Now we're going to have a kung fu flick. So I'm all for that. They're doing a Falcon and Winter Soldier Disney Plus show, basically them fighting over who's going to be the next Captain America. There's a WandaVision with Wanda and with Scarlet Witch and the Vision. I heard it's going to be like this weird thing where it jumps from. It's almost supposed to be like a parody of sitcoms or something like that. I don't know what the fuck's that all about. And it's sort of like following their characters through different generations. I'm not too big on that or whatever. And there's going to be a Loki TV show and a Hawkeye TV show. And I'm pretty sure, this is... Remember, if you watched Endgame, there was a Loki that disappeared. So even though our Loki has died, there is another Loki in the multiverse who disappeared. So there's, and I think that's going to be Loki, different stories about Loki once again through different parts of, through the generations, through the years, the same way like WandaVision is. And then there's a Hawkeye show, and who gives a shit about a Hawkeye show?
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing one.
I mean, I'll be interested, but I mean, like, if I miss it. All right, Paul, that's it. Let's wrap this up.
That's what she said.
Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net where you can find all things show related. You can find links to our iTunes. If you have an iPhone, an iPad, or iPod, you can download all our episodes from the past couple of years. If you don't have an iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can download us on the Stitcher app. That's STITCHER if you have an Android device. The Stitcher app, what I do is I listen to, I put a listen later and available offline, so I can download the podcast right to my phone. I don't have to kill my battery or my data when I'm out and about, or if I'm just listening, taking care of shit around the house. I can listen to podcasts without, straining my phone or its battery or my data plan. And of course, there's a lot of good podcasts on Stitcher. One of them being Paul's other baby, the Toonami Faithful podcast. So you can find that on Stitcher also. And of course, our original hosting site, you can go right to the source and find us on SoundCloud. Just look for Two Strangers One Podcast. We're at this episode 294, and a couple more episodes we hit episode 300, which is hopefully we'll have something exciting for that. Then we have, we want your money, we need your money, and I'm so fucking busy I keep forgetting to set up a Patreon. But if you want to support the show, you can like and share us on Facebook. It takes 2 seconds of your time. Spreads the word, lets people know about this podcast. If you want to write us, you can write us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. I checked the email. We had a long-term listener, Oscar. He's call and harass me and say nasty things all the time. He's fallen off the face of the earth. So, we'll just take it as it is. We're on Twitter at Stranger Podcast. If you want to follow us on there. And then, for the episodes that aren't on SoundCloud, you can go back and listen to 7 or 8 years worth of podcasts. You can listen to older episodes on YouTube. Once again, just search for Two Strangers One Podcast. You could also find on our page, you could also find my audiobook, Odd I See a Tale from the Road. I can't think of anything else I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at Paul Pascrillo. You can email me, paulpascrillo@toonamifaithful.com. And that's about it. Oh, you can listen to me on the Toonami Faithful podcast as usual. So,
all right. Well, we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening, had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye. You should be fapping.
Stop sexually harassing girls, Chris.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I got to meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea, man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. It's just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15, and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker,
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudity in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonePodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.